What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we are doing What If Deku Was the Avatar Part 5. Now, as you see, we got another picture up there, and that is the raccoon crow that Deku got in the last episode. His raccoon crow pet named Bandit. And if you're wondering where the image is from, it's actually from the Legend of Korra comic book. I don't know which one it's from. I just searched up an image to try to find it. So, there you go. That's why you probably never saw in the actual show itself, because it wasn't in the show. Now, where we had last left off, Deku had just been admitted into UA. The next day, Deku donned his outfit, and Bandit perched on his shoulder. He told Bandit that Bandit couldn't come with him, but Bandit just squeaked and stayed home. But after Deku had left the house and walked about a block away, Bandit flew above him and landed on his shoulder again, to Deku's dismay. "Okay, Bandit, you really want to come with me? That's fine," Deku says as he continues to walk around. Deku walked back to UA. He walked around trying to find out where his classroom is. He really had no clue. After using seismic sense, he was able to actually sense where personnel are at, and he could see that Bakugo was over in a building, in a room. Deku then walked there to find that it was Class 1A. Deku let out a sigh of relief, understanding that that was the classroom he was meant to go to. Deku entered it, and Bakugo saw him. Bakugo's, "Psh, shitty nerd," as he getting yelled at by Ida. But after Bakugo's remark, Ida then turned around to see Deku was there. He was like, "You're the number one person who got the number one score on the UA entrance exam. Your moves were quite impressive. Your quirk seems to be very capable in doing multiple different things. And as well as it seems to have the ability to control the elements themselves. It's an amazing quirk. Not to mention, you also thought about the second half of the test. You are truly an amazing student. I'm inferior to every way to you." As Ida bows his hand. Deku's like, No. I didn't actually know about the rescue part. I was just mainly trying to help people out like a hero should do." Ida thought about this for a second, thinking about like a hero should do? Does that mean I wasn't acting like a hero? Have I disowned my family's name? The Tenya name? Out of nowhere, Deku felt tapping on his shoulder. He turned around to see the brunette-haired girl that he had saved back at the robot, the zero-pointer incident. "I know that green-haired anywhere. Your name, you're the one who saved me, right?" And Deku's like, "Oh yes, hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya. How are you, and what's your name?" And she says, "Hello, my name is, Ochako Uraraka." God damn. "You can just call me Uraraka." "Okay, Uraraka. You can just call me Midoriya." They were chatting, and then Uraraka questions, and she's like, "So what's that thing on your shoulder? I didn't think I should question because it looked kind of cute, but it's been just sitting there, like, doing nothing the entire time." Deku's like, "Oh, this is Bandit. Bandit, say hi." Bandit kind of did like a yelp / a squawk. Basically, think of a raccoon and crow noise mixed together. And Uraraka giggles at this, and she's like, "Hi, Bandit," as she pets Bandit underneath the chin. Ida's like, "Where did you find this weird creature?" And Deku tries to think of an excuse going, well, you see, I had, found it at a forest." And Ida was kind of looking confused because he's like, "That doesn't sound believable at all." Out of nowhere, a yellow beanbag looking thing flops into the room and then stands back up to everyone's shock. A person was inside the yellow beanbag. Everyone took a deep sigh out afterwards. He introduces himself as Aizawa. "I am Aizawa. Get on your gym uniforms. We'll be taking a test." for your quirks. Deku looked confused, and then Ida said, "But sir, we already had taken a test for our quirks, and shouldn't we be going to the entrance exam?" Deku thinks, yeah, we should. Aizawa said, "If you have time to spend on going to those entrance ceremonies, then you don't have time to be a hero. Heroes don't have time to waste. We have to constantly train ourselves physically and mentally. We have no time to give to stupid ceremonies like that," Aizawa says. Everyone kind of realized that this teacher was, "I don't like school ceremonies, and I don't like being in areas with tons of people. It's time to go." So everyone ended up getting on their gym uniforms when Aizawa stopped Deku and he goes, "What's that thing on your shoulder?" And Deku said, "Oh, this is Bandit." And Aizawa says, "Why is that thing on your shoulder? You're at school. You can't bring pets to school." "Well, you see, Bandit actually won't listen, nor will he stay home, and also he's an endangered species put under my care," Deku says. "Endangered species? It looks like a raccoon mixed with a crow." Deku says, "Yes. So far, this is the only one I've seen of its species. Could it just be that the raccoon had a crow quirk that gave it the wings of a crow?" "I don't believe that's the case, sir. If you can see, it doesn't even have normal arms. Have you ever heard of an animal getting an ability?" Then Aizawa thinks about Principal Nezu and then reminds himself that Principal Nezu is a very specific case that is only like that for very specific reasons. He's like, okay, fine. Aizawa thinks that maybe that raccoon crow could be in a similar situation to Principal Nezu, and that's the reasoning why it's like that. Deku ends up heading out there with everyone else. Aizawa says, "First off, we'll be doing multiple different tests. One of the tests is a ball throw, where you would be using your quirk to try to chuck the ball as far as you can. Izuku Midoriya, how far could you chuck the ball before? 30 meters? Okay, try to chuck it farther with your quirk." Deku says, okay. Deku takes the ball and tries to think of what element out of the two elements he had would be more useful, and with the extra abilities. Deku then settles on launching it out with with a rock spike, sending it flying in the air. Deku then calmly breathes in and out, and slams his foot on the floor, hitting it hard against the ground. And then Deku chucks the ball. Afterwards, he uppercuts in the air as a rock spike goes up a rock pillar comes up and bats the ball even farther, sending it flying. The ball sadly only got 800 meters, but everyone's kind of impressed by this. Everyone else does their ball throw, with Erotica getting infinite, Bakugo getting second, Deku getting third, and then behind him was Todoroki coming in fourth. Todoroki kind of saw Deku's ability to manipulate Earth, and he wasn't thinking much of it because he can manipulate ice and fire, but he thought it was a pretty cool skill nonetheless. Next up, what happened next was the speed test. For this one, Deku activated the lava skate design he had earlier to try to get a quicker speed, and he did. He achieved a pretty quick speed, only being beaten by Ida and Bakugo, but he came in front of Todoroki. Todoroki had saw the lava state thing, and he thought he could manipulate more than just Earth, or does manipulating lava count as Earth? What is his quirk? Everyone else is kind of impressed by Deku's ability to manipulate his quirk so well, thinking that it's only Earth. Next up, everyone else did all the other tests, and they all came out basically the same as the series. No one got expelled because everyone took this as a more serious endeavor because it's UA. The next couple of days, they did basic training. Deku did some side training and started to learn airbending, but the most he can perform with airbending is just light winds that he can send out of the palm of his hand. as well as he can propel himself very lightly with his hands. He also was able to somewhat get an air scooter going, but the air scooter basically falls apart after 30 seconds of him using it, so it's not super useful for him. Next up was the next event that happened. All Might busts into the room, entering the room like a normal hero, a normal human, or hero, or person. And everyone was like, that's not a normal person. All Might looks out and sees that the two boys that he met on Dekaba Beach, Bakugo and Deku, are both there. Bakugo is hyped to see All Might, and Deku is more calm on seeing All Might because he had already talked with him and hanged out with him prior hand. All Might then went on to go introduce what they were doing, and they were doing a hero versus villain test, as well as doing multiple other things. Deku kind of understood, and afterwards Deku asked All Might how Mirio was doing. All Might said Mirio was doing good. Deku was kind of happy for this because Mirio was a third year and Deku was a first year, so they didn't get to talk much and they barely saw each other in the hallway. During the hero versus villain test, it was Deku and Uraraka versus Bakugo and Ida. The events had played out to be to where Deku used earthbending throughout all of it, mainly because he wanted to keep his other two bending styles a secret, especially because he hadn't mastered all four, and he will only use the other bending styles in a worst case scenario. So then Deku, at the start of the battle, uses seismic sense to try to see if he can sense where they're at. He's able to see that Ida and Bakugo were both on the very top floor. He tells Uraraka, he's like, Uraraka, I want you to stealthily sneak up there. I'm going to head on confront them. I want you to stealth up there, though. And Uraraka's like, okay, yes, I will. And she asks, what about you, though? And Deku states that you don't have to worry about me. I got this under control. Deku then starts running throughout the building, using seismic step every time he steps to check where Bakugo's at. He knows Bakugo's waiting behind the corner trying to sneak attack Deku. So then Deku sends a pillar of rock, forcing Bakugo onto the wall. Bakugo blows up the pillar and then explodes. You shitty nerd, how did you know where I was? And Deku says, it's an earthbending technique, don't worry about it. Because you gotta remember, the only two people who actually know about Deku's other powers are Deku and Bakugo. And also All Might. And the other kids hear this and they go, earthbending? Is that what his quirk is? Deku then uses another earthbending attack again. This time punching Bakugo farther back with an earth rock. And then he uses the wall to block Bakugo's explosion. Bakugo's like, what, you don't think I'm worth it to use your other elements against me? Deku says, nope, I just made a rule not to use elements against other people unless if it's necessary, as he uses another earth wall to block another explosion. Bakugo's like, so you do think I'm not worth it? That's not what I said. And everyone else is listening to Bakugo and Deku's conversation, and they hear the fact that Deku has other elements that he can use, and this interested Todoroki, because he thought that his quirk is very similar to mine then, if he can use other elements and manipulate multiple different elements. And Bakugo's like, fine then, make your decision. Bakugo launched another explosion towards Deku, and Deku's hero costume is basically just his canon hero costume, but is a little bit more of a darker green, as well as has the Earth Kingdom symbol on his back. Mainly just because he decided to incorporate it in that costume to resemble his quote-unquote Earth Kingdom looks. They kept fighting more and more. Bakugo's like, fine then. Dodge this, you shitty nerd. As Bakugo prepares to launch his giant explosion. All Might gets on to the intercoms and said, Bakugo, stop, you kill him. And Bakugo's like, you don't even know this shitty nerd's full power. This won't be enough to kill him. As Bakugo releases the explosion, Deku starts to see that this is a life or death situation and activates and goes into the avatar state, saying, "This is enough," as all the previous voices of the avatar hear, as gale force winds start to rip up the building around him, and fire circulates around him, and so does water. Deku then follows Rock, trapping Bakugo in an ice prison, and then fires multiple rocks towards him, as well as fire to melt the ice, just so he can breathe. And then Deku flies past him using the air spear, going at gale force winds to quickly fly up to the bomb, where he sees Ida, and he does the same thing to Ida using a rock prison to break it, get him in. Ida tries to break out, but Deku says, "You will not escape," as he then uses lava bending to create a giant dome around Ida, and then melts the metal bars and creates a metal dome around Ida as well, trapping Ida in 3 layers of materials. Just then, he touches the bomb, ending the experiment. Deku then passes out from the stress of going into the avatar state again, as everyone else just looks at shock, seeing Deku's full power. What was that? Todoroki says, "That's a state that Deku shouldn't have had to been going into," All Might says. And then Yaozu asks, "So what was that state?" And All Might responds, "It's the avatar state. I won't explain any more than that, but that's all you need to know." Deku's quirk is quite a unique one as well, as Bandit just snarls at the screen, seeing Bakugo still trapped in ice, and Deku's unconscious. Uraraka sees everything that Deku had done, and she is shocked. She's almost scared. Like, her teammate could have easily murdered everyone out on the field in seconds. Ida is trapped under a layer of rock and a layer of what appeared to be some sort of obsidian-like structure, thanks to how quickly the lava cooled, as well as a layer of metal. Bakugo is completely trapped in ice. He can't even gain enough sweat because he's freezing that bad. And Deku's just laying on the floor, unconscious, thanks to having to go into the avatar state. When Deku wakes up, he sees All Might standing next to him. He's like, All Might? And Mirio's there too. And Mirio? "Oh, Midoriya, you're awake." "Yeah, what happened?" "Bakugo launched an attack that would almost killed you, and because of it, you went to the avatar state. You had won the objective, and I know you weren't in 100% control of yourself at the time, but you could have easily murdered both of them." And Deku understands that what he did was a pretty bad thing. And the building is totally wrecked too. Like, God, that gale force wind ability you have when you go into that state is amazing. As the entire building that Mirio's looking at is just destroyed beyond belief. Bakugo enters the room, seeing Deku's finally up, and he's like, I'm sorry, Deku. I'm sorry, Midoriya. I do apologize. I was in the moment." And Midoriya also apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry I went to the avatar state. I didn't mean to endanger anyone." All Might says, "Yes, while you didn't mean to endanger anyone, we've decided that you are going to be taking classes different from the regular hero classes that everyone else will be taking." And Midoriya asks, "What do you mean I'm going to be taking different classes?" And All Might's like, "Well, you see, in essence, your abilities and your quirk, I know it's not a quirk, your bending abilities, you need to get them under control." Deku says, "I have them under control." "Then what was that avatar state, fiasco?" "That was me having over thousands of different souls all fighting for control over my body at once. They were just trying to complete a simple task, that was all." "Huh, I see. And can you get control over that state?" "Yes, I can." "Well, that will be your goal." I understand. But to get control over that, I need to get control over all other 4 abilities, and that seems to be more difficult. Why? Because the most recent ability I've started to learn is airbending. And you already saw how quickly I picked up earth and how quickly I picked up fire. Well, I've been training airbending solo for over 4 weeks now, and I can barely muster up a small gust. But you were mastering Gale Force Winds that was able to easily tear the building apart. Yes. But the difference is that that's when I have the knowledge and the power of every single previous frickin' avatar. Like, I have a power of 1,000+ people in that form. Huh. Well, it doesn't change our decision. And Izuku asks, what decision? Well, you see, Yun Midoriya, seeing how your quirk is very dangerous, we've decided that we're going to let you mentor with a hero privately. And Izuku is kind of like heartbroken by this. He's like, I'm that much of a hindrance to everyone else where I have to be separated? And All Might goes, no, that's not what we're getting at. Basically, what we're getting at is that we can't let you skip a grade. To be 100% serious, your quirk control or your quirk understanding is, even though it's not a quirk, your understanding of your bending is so ridiculously good that you're on par with 3rd years. Not to mention you've trained and beat one of the big 3 solo. Back when you had barely started to master earthbending, and now you have fire, lightning, combustion, metal, lava, earth, sand. You have so many different bending elements under your control that there's no reason for you not to be able to even play against the 3rd year. So we're going to have you get a hero license a little bit early. And Deku's kind of like confused by this, and he goes, what do you mean by getting me a hero license early? And All Might says, well, it's not much of a hero license, more of like a it's like a learner's permit hero license. Oh, so I need to actually be with a hero to be able to do it, just like a permit driver's license. Yes. You'll be mentoring with my master. His name is Gran Torino. Don't worry, Muriel will join you eventually. But currently it'll just be you and Gran Torino. And Gran Torino's ability does basically revolve around wind-based abilities as well. And Deku goes, okay, I understand. Yes. And you're still part of Class 1A, so any field trips or anything you'll still go to. But you'll be mainly training with Gran Torino privately. You'll show up for field trips and then go back and train with Gran Torino privately. Okay. What about the UA Sports Festival, Deku asks. And All Might goes, well, yes, you will be participating in the UA Sports Festival. At your grade level, of course. Just try to make sure the situation doesn't get so out of hand as it did in this training session. Okay. I understand, All Might. Thank you, Izuku Midoriya. I'm so sorry that we have to put this way for you, but this is the best and safest option for not only you, but the other students at UA. And then Deku asks, what happens if I go into the Avatar state again, and I can't really control what I'm doing? And All Might says, well, see, for situations like that, you're going to be with Gran Torino. Yeah, but Gran Torino can't get close or he'll be ripped apart by Gale Force Winds. Yes, I understand this. That's why the situation gets kind of complicated. Basically, what's going to happen is that Gran Torino's going to try to talk you out of it. You either finish your task or you get talked out of the Avatar state. That's the only 2 ways you get out of it. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Gun Midoriya. Now let's leave. Bye, Midoriya, Muriel says. See you later, Deku. Or not, I don't know. Hopefully we see each other soon. Bakugo leaves. And so does Midoriya and All Might. And that's where we're going to leave it off, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button. And if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, goodbye.